Brazil. An adventure is waiting for us.
This 4-episode series brings us to the biggest country in South America. Episode 1, we land in Sao Paulo. Coffee farms, monuments, and bike riding through the parks will give us a sense of what the city's all about. Episode 2 brings us closer to nature. Iguazu Fall awaits us, and so do the white waters below it. Episode 3, we head northeast to Salvador, a colorful city with rich history. And finally, we end our trip in Rio. Mountain climbing, hang gliding, and a trip to a famous statue. The world is our compass, wherever it may take us. Up some ancient steps of Machu Picchu to a crazy train ride in Sri Lanka. We want to experience something different.
Here we go again, we're going inside!
Something out of the ordinary. So join us on our adventures. Our Stein Ventures.
Question: how many states does Brazil have?
The answer is 26. And Sao Paulo is the most populous state in Brazil as of 2019, with 46 million inhabitants. This city also has the highest concentration of Japanese outside of Japan.
There we go.
We begin our story in Brazil on a local coffee farm. Fazenda Tozan do Brazil. Try saying that 3 times fast. The farm is located about 2 hours from Sao Paulo. It's a beautiful drive to this amazing property. Personally, I've never really liked the taste of coffee. I'll have a taste here and there, but the smell of roasted bean is divine. And we love visiting these farms because you learn so much. How does your coffee get to your table? What's the process? Luckily for us, we were able to take a private tour. Today, Fazenda was closed, but they still welcomed us in to view their farm. They set us up with an English tour guide, and we were on our way. Our first stop was the coffee bean fields, acres upon acres of fields specifically for this magical fruit. A coffee bean is a fruit, right? Well, not exactly. The bean is actually a seed within the coffee cherry. Each cherry produces 2 seeds. The cherry itself contains caffeine. That's how coffee gets its caffeine. Once the coffee tree matures, usually between 4 to 7 years, it begins to produce the coffee cherry. Once the cherries ripen, another 2 to 7 months, the farmer picks them and brings the cherries to the coffee bean separator, where the coffee seed is removed from the cherry. Once removed, the seeds are sun-roasted here on the black pavement or directly taken to the packing house and shipped off to the buyer, where they will roast the seed to their specifications. This coffee farm is unique. It still has the old slave quarters on site, which you can also tour. Enter the rooms and embark on a history lesson where you'll learn about what it used to be like on this farm. Slaves used to work these grounds, gathering the beans for the farmers and separating the seed from the cherry by hand. Brazil was the last country in the Western world to abolish enslavement of human beings. By the time slavery was abolished on May 13, 1888, an estimated 5.8 million enslaved people had been transported from Africa to Brazil. The world loves their coffee. And to try a coffee in a different country is always a treat. Once this coffee is transported to my home country, it doesn't quite taste the same. We were very blessed we got to take this tour and learn more about where our coffee comes from. This was some good coffee. Thank you, Fazenda, for your great hospitality.
That's a good cup of joe. Speaking of cup of joe, does anybody know where that phrase came from?
Nobody really knows. One theory is that a man from New York in the early 1900s put a sign in the window of his coffee shop. Come inside for a hot cup of joe. His name? Joe, of course. The best way to explore a big city is either by foot or by bike.
Here we are on Paulista Avenue, riding our bikes.
This is our favorite way of discovering new things in a city. And it's a great way to meet new people. Paulista Avenue is the most famous street in Sao Paulo. If you like shopping, this is the place to be. And don't forget to check out the old cathedral. Unfortunately, it was closed today. And whenever we get a chance, one of our favorite things to do on our trips is to visit an orphanage. We bring the kids things they can either use or simply just a treat they normally don't get due to lack of funds. From toothbrushes to toys to a sugary treat, we like to spoil the children. And while we're there, a little playtime can't hurt. It's great to see the smiles on the children's faces. And they always welcome us with open arms. Our next stop would be the Monument to the Flags. The massive sculpture pays tribute to the bandeirantes, those who follow the flags. They were the explorers who helped create Sao Paulo's culture. This monument is a symbol of the constitutionalist revolution of 1932 and the biggest monument in the city of Sao Paulo. The two monuments are located next to Sao Paulo's biggest park, a beautiful park. We were anxious to get onto our bikes and ride the well-paved bike trails within the park. This ride also gave us the opportunity to kind of slow things down and enjoy the scenery. Ibirapuera is one of Latin America's largest urban parks, and its iconic importance to Sao Paulo is often internationally comparable to that of Central Park to New York City. We loved our time in this beautiful park, and it was a great way to finish off our day in Sao Paulo. The sun was going down, and it was time to get back to our hotel. But I can't wait to see what tomorrow would bring us. About 2 hours northwest of Sao Paulo is a small Dutch town named Holambra. Holambra is a moniker formed by combining the first letters of Holland, America, and Brazil. This was such a fun town to visit. Very colorful. It was founded in 1948 as an immigrant colony by a group of 500 Dutch Catholics looking to resettle after World War II, and many more Dutch settled here in the years that followed. The Holambra Windmill, a functional, full-scale, traditional Dutch-style windmill. At 38.5 meters tall, it is considered the largest windmill in South America. Holambra is also known nationally as the City of Flowers. It has become South America's largest producer of ornamental flowers. From Holambra, we head back into Sao Paulo for our last night. We scope out the small street vendors for something good to eat. We head back to Paulista Avenue to check out the nightlife. It was fun mingling with the locals and enjoying some authentic Brazilian music. We had a great time in Sao Paulo, and before we left, our bartender that we befriended at the hotel made us one more of those famous Brazilian cocktails. And if you've never tasted this sugary cocktail, we highly recommend it. It was a perfect drink to end the night with.
We've now been to 3 different countries in South America: Peru, Colombia, Brazil, and now let's make it 4.
It was time to leave Sao Paulo and go to our next destination. Which way to Paraguay? Paraguay was never on our itinerary, but Iguazu Falls was, which borders the landlocked country. So why not check off another country? It was an unexpected bonus to us. It was simple. We flew to Iguazu Falls Airport, rented a car, and drove to the border, which was only 30 minutes away. We parked our car in a nearby garage and hiked the rest of the way. This is the main entrance to Paraguay from Brazil. It's called the Friendship Bridge. Beautiful scenery surrounds us. And finally, we reach the border. The name of this country is said to derive from the Guarani word meaning river that gives birth to the sea. Rivers provide access to the Atlantic Ocean and serve as sites for the hydroelectric power plants that have made Paraguay one of the world's largest exporters of hydropower. Welcome to Ciudad del Este, the second largest city in Paraguay. This is where the black market of underdeveloped South America meets the market economies of the booming nations. Every day, the citizens of Brazil and Argentina stream across the border into Paraguay to get the goods that are either illegal or heavily taxed in their own countries. This place was definitely different. It was a huge flea market, and everything was so cheap. I'm so glad we got to experience this border town. They speak Portuguese on one side of the river and Spanish on this side of the river. We ended up having a great lunch here in town, and after about 3 hours, we headed back to Brazil. Someday, I'd like to come back to Paraguay and spend some more time here.
I can't wait to show you what's next on our itinerary.
On the next Stein Ventures, it's time to explore our favorite spot in Brazil. We fell in love with Iguazu Falls. There are so many things to do.
Here we go again. We're going inside.
And so many things to admire.
Thank you for watching this episode of Stein Ventures. And if you like what you saw, click that like button. If you really liked what you saw, click the subscribe button right there. I just put it up, and if you can just click that button, boom, right there. You're not going to want to miss out on what's coming up